Hi there, it's Hannah the Artisan Duck and I'm back today with this really cute little bunny peyote. So for this tutorial I'm using Delica beads and I'm using a white, two different shades of pink and a black. I've also got my beading thread and needle here. I've used about 40 inches of thread, so it's not that long. And I've also got the pattern that I've worked out, which is here. This is available for you to download off my blog, so if you want to go and grab that, you can do. I'll put the link in the description below. So to start the rabbit, I'm going to start on this third sort of white bead on the outer edge here, because at the bottom here there's quite a few sort of missing beads and that'd be very tricky to do as our starting off spot. So we're going to start off by picking up these two rows here, and we'll come back and add the lower beads in a minute. So that is 9 white beads in total on your needle to start with. So there's my 9 beads to start with, and it's obviously 2 rows of beading to start with. I'm going to take down my thread and I'm going to leave myself a reasonably good tail thread, because I'm going to use that at the end to go back and add on those 2 white beads at the bottom. I'm going to bring my pattern back in. So we're now going to move sort of up to the next row, so it's this 4th white bead up here on the end. So it's a white, we've got one of our pink beads for our cheek colour, we've got another 2 white, another pink and another white. So I've picked up the single white bead to start the next row, and I'm just going to take my needle into the last white bead that we added at the beginning, so it's that 9th bead on the end. I'm just going to take the needle through there, so I got something to attach this new bead to, and pull through. And you want it so that you can see that that thread is on the outside and it's sort of staggering up slightly against the other bead, and that'll sort of sit nicer when we're adding more beadwork. So the next bead is one of our pink beads for the cheek, and we are coming out of this white bead here. We're going to jump over the next white bead along and then go into the bead, the white bead just along from that, so that when we pull this through, our pink bead is going to sit right on top of the white bead. There we go, we've just got that pink bead and it's sitting right on top. It'll be easier to see and handle when we've added a few more beads. So the next bead in this row is a white. So I've picked up my white and we're going to miss a bead out, and then we're going to go into the next bead along from there and pull through. So I've picked up my next white bead, we're going to miss a bead out and go into the next white bead along and pull. And now we need to add another pink in for our rabbit cheeks, and we're going to take the needle into the white bead at the very end, like that. And then our final bead on this row is another white bead. Just take that down my thread. There we go. So now we need to work our way back in to fill in these gaps. We're not increasing anymore, so we're going to have to turn our needle and thread around because we're exiting out sort of into nothing. We need to turn it around so that we're moving back in towards the beadwork. So I'm just going to secure this white bead by going back into the white bead below it and sort of forming a loop with that thread, which will then hold it in place. There we go. So it's very much like we did at the beginning, just sort of in a reverse move. And now I'm going to take my needle up through the pink, and then we're going to go down into the white just below it and pull through. Now we're going to move into our white bead that's sort of second to last and pull through. So, and now to move our needle so it's facing inwards, instead of just going straight out through that white bead, we're going to loop in the other direction. So we're now moving in towards the beadwork, like so, and now we can move on. So we've repositioned ourselves, so we're moving back in to start this row here with the second of the pink beads for the bunny's cheeks. So we're going to start off with a pink, we've then got a white, we've then got the pink for the nose, another white, a cheek pink, and that completes the row. So go ahead and pick up your light pink and take it through into the next pink along. You can see those two are now sitting side by side. I've now picked up a single white bead and we're going to go into the white bead that's sticking up in that row. There we go, and pull through. And we're just sort of filling those gaps in, and all this beadwork will sit much better the more beads we add. It's partly because I'm pulling my tail thread very tight and it's pulling the thread that's running through the beadwork. So now I'm going to go ahead and find the pink for the nose. So there's my single dark pink bead. I'm just going to go into the next white along, like so, and pull through. I've now picked up another white bead and we're going to take the needle into that light pink on the end there and pull through. And then to finish this row, I'm just going to add the second light pink for the cheek, and we're just going to take the needle into this white bead that's sticking off at the end there. I'm just going to pull to tighten that up, and you can see now that that's making sure that white bead on the end sits a lot nicer. So I'm going to bring my pattern back in and we'll see when we move on from there. So we're exiting out of this white bead here and we're going to move up to the next row here, which has a white bead directly on top of where we're exiting out of. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more white beads in the row. So I'm just starting off by picking up a single white bead and I'm going to take my needle directly into that light pink bead and pull. You can see now the white beads are sitting on top of each other and we're moving in the right direction to complete this row. So I've picked up another white bead and we're just taking the needle into the next white bead along that's sort of sticking up and pull. And I'm just going to continue this row until I've added all of the white beads, and I shall come back when I've done that. So I've picked up my last white bead in this row and there's nothing to attach it onto, so I'm just going to take that down the thread and I'm going to take my needle straight into the white at the bottom so that this bead's going to sit on, and attach it that way and pull through. There we go, and now you can see that sitting where it needs to be. We are, however, on the wrong road to continue beading, so we're going to have to turn around again so we're facing the right direction on the right row. So I'm just going to use this pink bead up here. I'm going to take my needle into there and pull through. I'm going to go down into the white at the end there, take my needle through. Do make sure you pull your thread nice and tight so that little thread disappears between the beadwork. I'm now taking my needle through the white bead on the end that's at the bottom to pull through, and now we can sort of just go straight up into that white at the top, and that will put us on the right row and in the right direction to continue the rabbit. There we go. So we're now coming out of this bead here and we're facing inwards, and we need to start the next row. So that's a white, then we've got a black bead, a white bead, another black bead, and we're finishing off with a white bead. I've got my white bead, I'm just going to go straight into that white bead along. I'm going to pick up my black bead and just take the needle into that white bead sticking up next to the nose and pull. And peyote is so much easier once you've got started because you're just filling in the gaps each time. The trickiest bit of peyote, in my opinion, is getting it started. So I've got another white bead. I'm just going to go into the next white bead along. I've got my black bead to add my second eye, like so. And I'm going to finish this row with a white bead. I'm just going to take that into the white on the end. There we go, you can start to see the bunny's face. So to continue beading, I shall bring the pattern back in a minute, but we need to move around so we're sort of moving in the right direction. We're not adding any more beads off to the side. So to start the next row, I'm just going to take my needle straight back up into the white that we just added and pull through like that. And now we're ready to bead the rest of the rabbit's face. So we're moving on to this row up here. So we've just got 1, 2, 3, 4 white beads to add in this row. That's the first of my white beads. I'm just going to take the needle into that eye, that black bead, and pull. And I'm going to add the second of my white beads, like so. Got the third white bead, and again just going to use the black bead to attach it, and then the last bead in this row is this white on the end here. There we go, and pull through. And now, just to put ourselves in a position to continue, I'm just going to go up into that white just next to the rabbit's eye, so we are ready to continue beading. So we're just going to add now these white beads here. So it's just 3 white beads in this row. So there's my first white bead. I'm just going to go straight into the white at the other side of the eye. That's my tail, and pull through. I'm just going to pick up another one and take the needle into the next white along. And now I'm going to add the last white bead in this row, right next to that eye on the other side. There we go, and that's pretty much the rabbit's face done. We are exiting out of this white bead sort of just here on the end, and we need to now sort of jump up, and we're going to add start working on the ears. So we've got a white, and then we're going to move through and add another white on the other side. You're just going to start by picking up a single white bead and take your needle straight up and into the white bead that's sticking up the top of the head and pull through. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick up another white bead. Just take that down my needle and thread, and I'm going to take my needle into the white bead at the top of the rabbit's head to secure that one in place. There we go. Now we need to move around now, so we're just going to work on this one ear. So I'm just basically going to go down into the next sort of white bead directly below it and pull through. And I'm going to continue by working my way through the beads so that we're exiting out at this sort of white bead just below the base of the ear, because we need to be able to jump up to the top so that we can add the pink in the middle here. So we need to be able to loop round. So I'm just going to take my needle through the white bead along like that, pull, and then I'm going to go into the black bead there and pull through. And now I'm going to go into this white, the lower white on the end there. Just try and move my thread so you can see which one I mean, like so, and pull through. And now I'm going to jump up to the white bead at the top, like so. And now I am ready to bead the rest of the ear. So I shall just show you what the ear looks like, and then I'll just work on this on camera. So we've got a pink bead here, so we need to add the pink, and then we're going to loop round, and we've got 2 white, we've then got another pink, and then another 2 white, and then we're going to finish with the white at the top. So here's my pink bead, and I'm just going to take my needle into the white on the other side, and this pink is the same pink that I have used for the nose. Just going to pull through like so, and now we need to pick up a white, and we're going to just take the needle straight back and into the pink at the top, and that'll force this new bead to sit right on top of the one below. I'm going to finish this little row with another white bead, and to secure this one in place I'm just going to go straight into this lower white again and pull. Just give it a wiggle if it needs a little bit of help. There we go, and pull, and that's now sitting in the right place. We're moving through the beadwork this way with our needle and thread, and there's so few beads, there's no point sort of trying to work super hard at turning around. So I'm just going to continue working through. I'm going to go into the pink again and pull, and then I'm going to go into the white just below the top bead and pull through, and then we're going to jump up to the white on the top like so. And now we're ready to add our second pink bead in the ear. So I've just picked up my bead, I'm going to take my needle through the white on the end like so. There we go. Now I'm just going to go ahead and pick up a white bead and jump straight into that pink bead again and pull through, and I'm going to pick up another white bead, and I'm going to go into the bead, the white bead just below, so that one can sit nicely on top of the other white bead. Again, persuade it if it needs to. There we go. I'm going to work through the beadwork again so that I can add this white bead at the top. So I'm just going to go into the pink bead and pull, and I'm going to go into the white bead at the bottom, so the lower white bead, second one down, and pull through. I'm going to jump up to the top so that we're sitting in the right position to add the next bead, and then I'm going to go ahead and pick up my single white bead and just add that to the top of the pink to finish the ear. And there is one ear completed. So now I'm going to take my needle and thread through to the other side, so I'm ready to carry on. So to move my way through the beadwork, I'm just going to go down into the white bead just below where we're exiting from and pull through. And I'm going to then jump down into the white bead below, and I'm taking my needle into that white bead and the white bead in the middle of the head, just up from the rabbit's nose, and pull through. Do pull that thread so that thread disappears between those beads. We're now ready to add the second ear, and it's obviously identical to the first ear, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick up a single white bead, and I'm going to go into the white bead just on top of the rabbit's eye on the other side and pull. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick up another white bead. And we need to add that onto something, so I'm just going to take my needle down into the white bead just below to secure that one in place. There we go, like that. I'm now going to go back through the white bead that's sort of in the middle there, because we're facing the wrong direction to add the pink in the middle. And then I am going to go into this white bead, so it's second down. I'll move it around a minute so you can see exactly where I am. So we've got this white bead on the top that we've just added, and it's the one just below that, and pull through. And now I'm going to jump back up this white bead on the top. Just the one though. My needle wants to go through both. And now we are ready to pick up the pink bead for the rabbit's ear. I'm just going to take the needle into the white on the end, like so. I'm going to go ahead and pick up a single white bead and just take the needle straight into the pink and pull. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick up another white bead, and we need to add it onto something, so I'm just going to use the white bead just below like that to pull through. Give it a wiggle if it's being a bit difficult, like so. I'm just going to take my needle back through the pink, because we need to be in a position to add the pink at the top there. So I'm going to go through the pink again and pull, and then I'm just going to go into the white, just the second white down on the edge there, and pull through. And then I'm going to go up to the white at the top, sort of in towards the beadwork. There we go. We can now go ahead and pick up our pink for the ear, just take our needle into that white bead on the other side. There we go. So to finish this ear, I am going to pick up a single white bead and go straight into the pink at the top of the ear and pull. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick up a second white bead. And on this occasion I'm going to take my needle now back into the white just below. So when I pull through, that new bead's going to sit directly on top like that. So we need to just move our way around now so we can add the white in the middle. So I'm just going to go through the pink bead again, like so, and pull through. I'm going to go into the second to last white bead, sort of going up that way, and pull. And then I'm going to loop up to the top, that white bead, pull through. I'm going to pick up a single white bead and just add that to the top of the rabbit's ear. There we go. That's pretty much the rabbit completed. We just need to add the beads on just at the bottom to help shape his sort of chubby cheeks. So you can go ahead if you want to tie some knots in this working thread before you take that off and add the needle to the other side. Just make sure you don't tie the knots too low down, because you don't want to clash the knots that you've tied with the fact that we now need to go ahead and add the beads with this other thread. To tie my first knot, and I'll just show you one knot because You don't want to sit and watch me tie too many. I'm just going to take my needle down into the bead just below where we're exiting out from and pull through. And I'm just going to use one of the threads that's going between the white and the pink beads to tie my first knot around. Right, so I will admit I really dislike tying knots in peyote. I don't know why. I have no trouble with brick stitch, and brick stitch and peyote are pretty much the same stitch. You could literally bead this if you were more comfortable with brick stitch in a brick stitch fashion. So I know that there's a thread, in fact I think you can just about see it, that's going between that white bead and that pink bead. So I've taken my needle down on one side of that thread and I'm going to pull through, but I will leave some threads. There's like a loop of thread on this side for me to use. So I've got my loop. I'm now going to come up through the beadwork again on the other side of that thread. So I need to just find the gap between the white and the pink, which is there, and I know that the thread is running between those beads there. So I'm just going to pull that through like so. Right, when I get to this point, I'm just going to take my needle through the loop that I have made and pull through, and that will form a knot around that thread. So I'm just going to pull really tight, and now I'm going to take my needle into the pink bead to hide the knot, like so. There we go, and you're going to repeat that a few more times through your rabbit to make sure he's nice and secure. So I have tied off that thread and I've cut the excess off, and now I've put my needle on my tail thread. So we just need to add 2 little beads at the bottom here. So I'm just going to take my needle straight into the bead at the bottom. We're exiting out of this bead sort of in the middle of this set of 3 anyway, so we're not sort of jumping too far, and we're going to pick up a single white bead and we're just going to add that in between using that white bead there, and that's sort of just shaped the bottom, turn it upside down, of the rabbit's face for us. So I'm just going to jump across now to the other side. We're going to go through that white bead in the middle just below the bunny's nose and pull, and then we can go up into the white bead just on the top, swap the next bead along, and then we're going to pick up another white bead and we're going to go into the bead on the other side just to secure it in place, like so. There we go, and now we're ready to tie the knots with the other side, but that's just added some really nice shape to the bottom of the rabbit's cheeks. So there's our rabbit. He'll be completely ready for you to use it however you'd like to use him. And there's one that I've already done, so I've got 2. Probably make a pair of earrings with those. And I'm just going to bring in and show you something else I've made. If you like peyote and you like peyote triangles, I have come up with this pattern. So all being well, I will have got the pattern for this onto my Etsy shop. It'll more than likely just be the pattern, and you'll have to sort of read that yourself. So I do have a peyote triangle tutorial. I will link that below as well. So you just need to apply the principles of that tutorial to this pattern and pick up the beads in the formation of the pattern. If I haven't got this on Etsy by the time I put this video out, then I won't have a link for it, but the plan is to have it available for you. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you again next time. Bye.